Welcome to Performing the Forms, a video series where I look at a variety of composition techniques and how and why they are used in musical theater. In this video, I want to look at the fugue. To understand fugues, we got to know what it is first. What is a fugue? A fugue is a type of composition technique which originally had its heyday during the Baroque era. It contains two or more voices built on a single subject melody. Out of time's sake for this video, the only relevant part of the fugue is the beginning, otherwise known as the exposition. We'll quickly look at a typical Bach fugue, Fugue number 2 in C minor. A subject line is introduced, then another voice enters with the same subject line, and typically in a different key. Notice how the original voice creates harmonies in what is known as counterpoint. A third voice enters. While it took the second voice 1 measure to enter, the third voice takes 2 measures to enter. This is very typical and is known as a staggered entrance. And everybody continues on their merry way onto the development section, where the subject line continues to make appearances while having the freedom to experiment. I'm abridging this explanation to save some time, but I suggest you look at some of these videos which dives more in depth. Jumping into musicals, one of the most famous fugues is probably Fugue for Tinhorns from the 1950 musical Guys and Dolls by Frank Loesser.
And here's a guy that says if the weather's clear, can do. This guy says the horse can do. If he says the horse can do.
I'm picking Valentine, cause on the morning line, the guy's got him figured at 5 to 9. But make it epitaph, he wins it by a half, according to this here in the Telegraph.
But wait, it isn't a fugue. Although there is a clear melody line that has separate and staggered entrances, all the subject lines are in the same key. Secondly, none of the voices explore outside of the subject line. It's the same thing over and over. In the song In the Same Boat from Cantor and Ebb's 2007 musical Curtains, there's this line.
The whole company's singing 3 different songs at the same time. It'll make Fugue for Tinhorns sound like Frere Jacques.
Frere Jacques is a round. And on that point, Fugue for Tinhorns is more of a round than fugue. And in any case, this song, In the Same Boat, isn't a fugue either, nor is it a round. I'll probably talk about this in a later video. Speaking of non-fugues, this fugue from the 1937 musical Me and My Girl by Noel Gay ain't a fugue.
Maria, I want to talk.
I'm busy.
I want to talk.
Party.
Jackie, I want a word.
Don't call me.
I must have a word.
Party.
In this scene where multiple characters are separately preparing for an upcoming party, they're all just speaking in rhythm over each other, not even close to a fugue. This lazy writing is pissing me off. In these two examples, fugues is utilized to create a sense of butting heads or cacophony. Yet another non-fugue is the song Fugue for 4 Girls from the 1970 show The Me Nobody Knows, aka the first landmark rock musical, written by Gary William Friedman. Four girls sing separate melodies in counterpoint, but they are not in imitation of each other. This is interjected with anecdotes about personal hardships. I won't give this song crap for not being a fugue because it's absolutely gorgeous and the lyrics are extremely poetic and written by kids. Anyways, not a fugue. Let's move on to real fugues now. A famous one is Cool, or sometimes called the Cool Fugue, from the 1957 West Side Story by Leonard Bernstein. Oh boy, that's a musical doozy right there. Well, first of all, is it a fugue? Kind of. There's lots of counterpoint. There's a great video analysis of this song. Click here for that. It is extremely well done. Anyways, there are only 3 basic themes recognized. The tritone, which is famously prevalent throughout the entire score. Then there is a 12-tone row. Then there is this fun little cool jazz lick. Each of these is introduced one by one till we get a cacophony of all of these themes in glorious counterpoint. Then the closest thing we get to a fugue is this. 2 distinct voices doing that fun little lick. Anyways, watch that great video, and although it's in Spanish, read the accompanying written analysis. Anyways, it seems that as this counterpoint gets more fuguey, the more anxious the gang gets. However, they recover and manage to stay cool. The fugue sets as a parallel to how the gang is emotionally feeling. Let's look at another fugue once again. This is a New Orleans jazzy dance number during a party scene in the 1955 musical Pipe Dream by Rodgers and Hammerstein. Pipe Dream is a show that didn't do too well, unfortunately, but it's got that fugue. The melody is a variation of the previous song.
Oh, there never was a party like the party that we're gonna have tomorrow night. What a sweetheart.
Only the beginning of this dance is a fugue, before it morphs into your standard upbeat dance music. This dance was most likely written by John Morris, who did the dance arrangements for the show. John Morris was also famous for scoring such Mel Brooks films such as Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and The Producers. Anyways, the fugue starts with a tuba. The next entrance is the clarinet. Interestingly, the clarinet does a 2-bar intro before getting into the subject line. Then the trumpet comes in. Then finally the trombone comes in. But like the clarinet, the trombone also has a 2-bar intro before it reaches the subject line. In a very Bach-like manner as well, the entrances are in 1-5-1-5. The first entrance is in G major, the next entrance in D major. Then even though the next entrance seems to be different than the first, the notes have been slightly altered to fit back into G major. And finally the last entrance is back in D. Now this song is called Dance Fugue, and to my knowledge a recording of this version doesn't exist. The New York Encores revived the show in 2012 and included this dance, but retitled it Fractured Fugue and rearranged it a bit, especially after the exposition ends. The fugue acts as a fun little dance in order to get into the upcoming party scene. Andrew Lloyd Webber's 1981 musical Cats has a fugue in its overture. Like the previous example, there are 4 distinct entrances, not necessarily 4 distinct voices though. Additionally, the entrances are also 1-5-1-5. The first one starts on F, the next one on C, then F again, then C again. What isn't very fugue-like is the first subject line, because it already has an accompanying figure. However, the exponentially staggered entrances are fugue-like. The second voice comes in after 2 bars, the third voice after 4, and the last voice after 8. It is also a very atonal fugue. It doesn't seem to be in any set key. This entire opening is meant to create the atmosphere of the Cats, the non-conformity of the Cats, and the very individualistic nature of our characters whom will soon be introduced. One amazing and underlooked fugue is from Gershwin's 1933 Porgy and Bess. Though really more of an opera, it is occasionally produced by musical theater companies. When Crown kills Robbins in a fight, we have the Crap Game fugue. By the way, this fugue is only presented in an abridged form in the 2012 rewrite that was on Broadway. This is a very fast-paced and atonal fugue, in which I could spend hours talking about, but I don't got that time, and perhaps I'll devote an entire video on Gershwin. This is a high-paced fugue to add the excitement of this intense fight scene. All the fugues we looked at so far was just instrumental, whether it be a dance break, overture, or underscoring. Where are the fugal songs? Finally, I'd like to end this video with the fugiest of fugues. It's called the Goldfarb Variations from the 1974 musical, The Magic Show by Stephen Schwartz, who wrote such works like Godspell, Pippin, and Wicked. Although the musical initially did well, Schwartz decided to ban future productions of the show till rewrites could be done. He wrote this song 8 years earlier for a show he did while attending Carnegie Mellon. He just changed up the lyrics a bit to bring you this.
Oh my God, it's finally happened, the famous Mr.
Oh my God, it's finally happened.
Oh my God, it's finally happened. Goldfarb is coming to turn this archaical club of mine into...
The song is scored for soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. The soprano starts in D major, followed by the tenor in the same key. Then the alto enters in A major, followed by the bass in the same key. Thusly, the entrances are in 1-1-5-5. The harmonies and counterpoint is very baroque, and he develops this very well. In the middle, it even modulates into minor. This is the closest we get to an accurate traditional fugue.
I'm as jittery as a
Like the first two examples I mentioned, this song too is to create the cacophony of excitement that somebody is coming. Anyways, I hope you've been able to enjoy this variety of fugues that exist in the musical theater repertoire and how the various ways that they are used. In the next video of the series, I'll be looking at overtures. Thank you for watching.
Whoops, I think I'm gonna vomit.